Are we really an independent, sovereign nation? As far as I can tell, when it comes to immigration, we have our hands tied behind our backs. We have a load of European nations happy to wave migrants through their countries, a European neighbour in the shape of France that agreed to take 50-odd million quid from us and then refused to sort out the problem, then refused to renegotiate with us as well. And now a European court telling us that we can't deport illegal immigrants. That doesn't sound very independent to me. I don't know about you. Why should a foreign court have a say over our own immigration system? About who we deport? I thought we voted to take back control, and yet, legally, we're at the mercy of what a foreign court thinks is appropriate. And forgive me, but I refuse to believe that this wasn't an absolute stitch-up. Just check this out, OK? It's what our reporter Jeff Moody had to say live from the scene during last night's box office show as it kicked off.
We could hear the engine going. We saw them get onto the plane. We saw the pilot doing his last-minute checks. So near and yet so far, because suddenly we're hearing that the engines have cut out, the runway lights have all shut down. So what we're presuming here, we haven't heard anything officially from the Home Office yet, but it certainly doesn't look like this flight is going to take off today. We're hearing...
Right, so there we have it. So the plane was just about to take off. The pilots had done their final checks. It was the moment of maximum suspense, wasn't it? And then boom, no dice. The plug gets pulled. They were doing it for dramatic effect, weren't they? I'm sure. Why? Because the European establishment wanted to get back at us for leaving that silly little club. Anyway, supposedly this is all about human rights. Yeah, OK. But what about the human rights of people already living in this country? What about the human rights of the people in small villages who are staring down the barrel of having thousands of illegal immigrants or asylum seekers moving into their area, the quiet, peaceful place they chose to retire to, or bring up their kids, changed irreversibly, forever? Is that fair? What about the human rights of people on a council housing waiting list, for example, who will now find themselves bumped down that list so someone without any documents who's come over in a dinghy can have a roof over their heads? I mean, this is what one woman I spoke to earlier in Islington today, the spiritual home of lefty tosh in this country, the Shangri-La of wokedom, the Corbynista Mecca, OK? Well, clearly, at least someone has their head screwed on.
We have a lot of people who are in need here. So taking all those people, coming them here, and then what's going to happen to us that need the help? I mean, you know.
Yeah, and this is the thing. If we can't deport anyone, then we have to keep them here, don't we? But how do we accommodate them? Do people realise that it's the taxpayer who will pick up the tab?
I think there should be more social housing. No, more social housing.
Yeah.
So
we need, in your opinion, we need to spend more. So would you be willing to pay more tax?
Oh, no.
I mean, you just couldn't make it up, could you? You couldn't make it up. But I think a lot of this stems from this idea that people think they want open borders. But when they're really asked to consider it, they realise that that might not be the best thing in the world.
There be any borders?
Yeah, do you believe in open borders?
Well, first of all, I think you need to belong to something.
Right.
And I think that's very human nature. Leads us that way.
Absolutely.
I think we need to belong. And to belong culturally is really important. Should we help people who are in dire need in the Ukraine? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And somewhere between there is my answer.
I think we should have borders.
Well, how do we police them then?
How do we police them? Actually, no, I don't think we should have borders.
You don't think you should have borders?
Why not?
You've gone full swivel.
Yeah, I mean, we don't need to have borders.
I mean, right, let's just try to get through this, shall we? But you know what we've got here, don't you? We've ended up here because people who've watched illegal immigration peak in recent years, been watching what's been happening in the Channel and had just serious natural concerns about it, have felt too afraid to speak out. They've been too worried about being called racist. Check this out.
I don't want to be the bad guy and go, yeah, we should have borders.
Ooh, OK, but that's really interesting, mate. Why do you think that makes you the bad guy? Do you think people will call you racist or something?
Yeah.
But you're obviously not a racist.
No.
Right.
No.
So why are you worried about it?
I mean, it's kind of common sense, isn't it? I mean, safety, I don't know. I don't know.
Do you feel...
It's...
But this is a really good point, right?
Yeah,
and I will leave you alone in a minute.
No,
but I think we've hit the nail on the head here.
I think we have.
Because clearly you're almost censoring yourself, aren't you now?
I always censor myself nowadays. I'm 54, I go to say things, I'm not racist, and then I have to reel it in and think I permanently walk around trying not to offend people. It's exhausting.
I imagine it is, mate, yes. But look, I'm not afraid of speaking up personally. This country should not be dictated to by a foreign court. And I think it's time to properly take back control, frankly, as far as I can see, and get out the European Convention of human rights.